The ornament had hung on the Christmas tree for as long as Elena could remember. A delicate glass angel, no bigger than her palm, with wings painted in gold leaf that caught the light and made them shimmer. Her grandmother had treasured it, had always placed it on the tree herself, handling it with the kind of reverence reserved for precious things. "This angel," her grandmother would say each year, "has watched over our family for 3 generations. She holds more than you know." Elena had always thought she meant memories, Christmases past, family gathered, love and tradition. She'd never imagined her grandmother meant something literal. Now, standing in her brother Marcus's living room on Christmas Eve, Elena watched that same angel ornament hanging on his tree. Not her grandmother's tree, because their grandmother was gone, had been for 3 years. Marcus, as executor of the estate, had claimed most of grandmother's possessions, including the ornaments. "They're just decorations," he'd said when Elena asked if she could have the angel. "I'm keeping the collection intact. You're being sentimental about glass and paint." Sentimental. He always said it like an insult. Marcus moved through the room with a glass of expensive scotch, talking loudly about his latest investment property, barely noticing the family gathered for his obligatory Christmas Eve dinner. His wife Jennifer laughed at something on her phone. His teenage kids were upstairs, avoiding everyone. Elena sat quietly on the couch, watching the angel ornament catch the light, remembering her grandmother's hands carefully hanging it each year. "She holds more than you know." What had she meant? Marcus gestured broadly while talking to their uncle about stock portfolios, and his hand caught the branch where the angel hung. Elena saw it happen in slow motion, the ornament wobbling, tipping, falling. It hit the hardwood floor with a sound like a tiny bell breaking. Shattered into a dozen pieces. Marcus barely glanced down. Oops, well, it was old anyway. Elena felt something crack in her chest. Not just grief for the lost ornament, but fury at his carelessness, his dismissiveness, his complete lack of respect for anything that didn't have obvious monetary value. She knelt down to gather the pieces, her hands shaking, tears blurring her vision. And that's when she saw it. Among the shattered glass, something glinted differently, not the painted gold of the wings, but actual metal, small, deliberate. A key. Tiny, brass, with a number stamped on it, 447. Elena's breath caught. Her grandmother had hidden a key inside the ornament. For 3 generations, it had hung on the tree, waiting. And now, because of Marcus's carelessness, it had been revealed. Elena palmed the key quickly, hiding it in her closed fist before anyone could see. She gathered the broken glass pieces into a napkin, her heart pounding. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, not sounding sorry at all. "I'll buy you a new ornament if you're that upset about it." "You can't replace this one," Elena said quietly, standing with the napkin full of shards. "It was Grandma's favorite." "Grandma had a lot of favorites," Marcus said dismissively. "She was sentimental about everything. It's just glass, Elena. Just glass. Just memories. Just family. Just everything Marcus had never valued." Elena excused herself to the bathroom, locked the door, and examined the key properly. It was old, the brass tarnished but still solid. The number 447 was clearly stamped, and on the flip side, letters so small she almost missed them. FNB. First National Bank. A safe deposit box key. Elena's hands trembled. Her grandmother had hidden a safe deposit box key inside an ornament, had hidden it for years, maybe decades. Had told no one, just hung it on the tree every Christmas and said cryptic things about angels watching over the family. Why? What was in box 447? And why had Marcus, as executor of the estate, never mentioned a safe deposit box? Elena looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, at her own face, pale and shocked, at the tiny key in her palm that felt suddenly heavy with possibility. Marcus had been executor for 3 years. He'd handled all of grandmother's affairs, divided her estate, managed her accounts. He'd kept most of the valuable items for himself, claiming executor's privilege and primogeniture rights that didn't actually exist, but that no one had challenged, because Marcus was a lawyer and made everything sound official and complicated. Elena had suspected, sometimes, that things weren't quite right. Money that should have been there wasn't. Accounts that seemed smaller than they should be. But Marcus had explanations for everything, and Elena wasn't a lawyer, wasn't good with estates and trusts and legal language. She'd felt gaslit, made to feel stupid for asking questions. But now she had a key. And tomorrow, the day after Christmas, when the bank reopened, she was going to find out what her grandmother had hidden away, what she'd protected, what Marcus apparently didn't know existed. Elena returned to the party, slipping the key into her pocket, and watched her brother hold court about his success, his investments, his brilliant financial decisions. She smiled and nodded and played the role of supportive sister. And she waited. The day after Christmas, Elena stood outside First National Bank at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes before they opened. She'd barely slept. All night, she'd turned possibilities over in her mind. What could be in the box? Why had grandmother hidden the key? Why inside the angel ornament specifically? The bank manager, a woman named Patricia, greeted her professionally when Elena explained she had a key to a safe deposit box but didn't know the box holder's name. The number is 447, Elena said, showing the key. I believe it belonged to my grandmother, Dorothy Castellano. She passed away 3 years ago. Patricia checked the records, her expression changing as she read the screen. Box 447 is registered to Dorothy Castellano, yes, but there's a note here. She paused. The box has dual access, Mrs. Castellano and one other person. Elena's heart sank. Marcus Castellano? Her grandson? No, Patricia said, checking again. Elena Castellano. You're listed as co-holder. You've had access this entire time. You just needed the key. Elena felt the world tilt slightly. I'm listed? Since when? Since, Patricia scrolled. The box was opened in 1995. You were added as co-holder in 2019, about a year before your grandmother passed, when grandmother's health had started declining, when she'd started giving Elena meaningful looks and cryptic statements about angels and watching over family. She'd been trying to tell Elena something. Can I access it now? Elena asked, her voice barely steady. Of course. You're listed as authorized. Let me take you to the vault. The safe deposit box was small, narrow, unassuming. Patricia left Elena alone in the small private room with the box on the table in front of her. Elena inserted the key with shaking hands. Inside was a large envelope, legal-sized, thick with documents, and a letter in her grandmother's handwriting addressed simply, For Elena, when you find this. Elena opened the letter first, her grandmother's familiar script blurring through sudden tears. My dearest Elena, if you're reading this, then the angel has been broken, and the key revealed. I'm sorry you had to lose the ornament. I know how you loved it, but I needed to hide this somewhere Marcus would never think to look, somewhere he'd dismiss as worthless, sentimental, unimportant. I'm writing this in 2020, knowing I don't have much time left. I've suspected for some time that Marcus has been stealing from the family trust. I've seen discrepancies, missing funds, accounts that don't add up. But he's clever, and he's a lawyer, and he's very good at making me feel confused when I ask questions. So I did what I should have done years ago. I hired a forensic accountant, quietly, privately. What she found devastated me. Marcus has been embezzling from the family trust for 5 years. He's taken over $200,000, hidden it in accounts I can't access, and has been systematically draining the estate while making it look legitimate. I've included all the evidence in this envelope: bank statements, transfer records, the forensic accountant's full report, everything you'll need to prove what he's done. I'm making you co-holder of this box because I trust you, Elena. You were always the one who valued what mattered: family, truth, integrity. Not money, not status, not appearance. I know Marcus will be executor. I have to make him executor. If I don't, he'll contest the will, and I'm too tired to fight. But I'm giving you the tools to hold him accountable. The key is in the angel ornament, the one I hang on the tree every year, the one Marcus will think is worthless. When it breaks, and it will break because Marcus is careless with precious things, you'll find the key. I'm sorry I can't do this myself. I'm sorry I have to leave this burden to you, but I know you're strong enough to carry it. Make him answer for what he's done, my darling girl. not for revenge, but for justice, for truth. The angel watches over our family. Now she's watching over you. All my love, Grandma. Elena read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down her face, grief and fury and love all tangled together. Her grandmother had known, had documented everything, had hidden it away, and trusted Elena to find it. And Marcus, in his carelessness, had given her exactly what she needed. Elena opened the envelope. Inside, a forensic accounting report, 47 pages long, detailing every fraudulent transaction Marcus had made over 5 years. Bank statements showing transfers from the family trust to accounts in Marcus's name. Copies of forged signatures. Email correspondence with financial advisors showing Marcus deliberately hiding assets. $237,000 stolen. All documented. All proven. All illegal. Elena sat in that small bank room for an hour, reading through every page, understanding exactly what her brother had done. He'd stolen their inheritance. He'd stolen from their grandmother while she was dying. He'd stolen from Elena, from their uncle, from everyone who should have benefited from the trust. And he'd done it, thinking he was clever enough to get away with it. But grandmother had been cleverer. And the angel ornament, the worthless, sentimental glass, had held the key to his downfall all along. Elena didn't confront Marcus immediately. She took the documents to a lawyer first, not Marcus's firm, but a trust and estate attorney her grandmother's forensic accountant recommended, a woman named Sarah Chen who specialized in executor fraud. Sarah reviewed everything with the focused intensity of someone who'd seen this before. "This is thorough," Sarah said. "Your grandmother did excellent work documenting this, and the forensic accountant's report is comprehensive. You have everything you need for criminal charges and a civil suit." "Both?" Elena asked. "He embezzled from a trust. That's criminal. You can also sue to recover the funds plus damages. He'll likely lose his law license, face jail time, and owe significant restitution." Elena thought about Marcus at Christmas Eve, dismissing the broken ornament as just glass, dismissing Elena's feelings as sentimental, dismissing everything that didn't serve his greed. "I want to do both," Elena said. "Then we'll need to notify the authorities and file the appropriate motions. This will take time, but the evidence is solid. He won't be able to talk his way out of it." "Actually," Elena said slowly, an idea forming, "I want to tell him first. Privately. I want him to know exactly how he got caught before everything else happens." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "That's not typically how I advise." "I know," Elena interrupted, "but this is personal. He stole from our grandmother while she was dying. He's been treating me like I'm stupid for 3 years. I want him to know that the ornament he broke, the one he dismissed as worthless, is exactly what exposed him." Sarah considered this. "If you're going to confront him, do it somewhere you can control, and maybe record it in case he says anything incriminating." "I'll do it at my apartment," Elena said. "After New Year's, I'll invite him over to discuss estate matters. He'll think I'm finally accepting his explanations." "And then?" "And then I'll show him what was in box 447. January 2nd, Marcus arrived at Elena's apartment looking mildly irritated at being summoned. "This better be quick," he said, not even saying hello. "I have a meeting at 3. "It won't take long," Elena said pleasantly. "I just wanted to show you something I found." She'd set up her laptop on the coffee table, recording software running but not obviously visible, legal in her state, one-party consent. Sarah had confirmed it. Marcus sat down, looking impatient. "What is it?" Elena pulled out a folder. Not the original documents. Those were safely with Sarah, but copies. She set them on the table in front of him. "Do you remember the angel ornament? The one you broke on Christmas Eve?" Marcus looked confused by the change of subject. "The glass thing? What about it?" "When it broke, something fell out. Something Grandma had hidden inside it." She placed the key on the table between them. Marcus stared at it, his expression shifting from confusion to something else, something that might have been recognition. Or fear. "What is that?" "A key," Elena said calmly. "To safe deposit box 447 at First National Bank. Grandma's box. The one she opened in 1995 and added me to in 2019. The one you didn't know existed." Marcus's face went carefully blank. I don't know what you're talking about. The box you didn't know existed because Grandma was hiding it from you, because she suspected you were stealing from the family trust. Elena opened the folder. She was right. She showed him the first page of the forensic accounting report. Marcus's expression crumbled, not into guilt, but into defensive anger. Where did you get this? From the safe deposit box. The angel ornament held the key, the ornament you broke, the one you said was worthless. Elena laid out page after page, bank statements, transfer records, forged signatures. Grandma hired a forensic accountant before she died. She documented everything you did, every dollar you stole, every fraudulent transfer, every time you lied to her about where the money went. Marcus's hands were shaking now. You don't understand estate management. I understand embezzlement, Elena said. I understand theft. I understand you stole $237,000 from our family trust over 5 years. I understand you forged Grandma's signature. I understand you've been gaslighting me for 3 years, making me think I was stupid for asking questions about money that you stole. Elena, this is a misunderstanding. It's not, Elena interrupted. It's documented, it's proven. It's in Grandma's own words, in a letter she left me in that box. She didn't show him the letter. That was too personal, too precious. But she showed him the summary page of the forensic report, with its damning conclusion. Executor Marcus Castellano has engaged in systematic embezzlement of trust funds, constituting both criminal fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. Marcus stood up, his lawyer instincts finally kicking in. You can't prove intent. I made investment decisions that didn't pan out. That's not theft. The forensic accountant says otherwise. So does my attorney. So will the district attorney, when I file a criminal complaint tomorrow. Marcus went pale. You're bluffing. I'm not, Elena said calmly. I'm filing criminal charges for embezzlement. I'm suing you in civil court for restitution and damages. And I'm submitting all of this to the state bar for ethics violations. You're going to lose your law license, Marcus. You're probably going to jail. And you're definitely going to pay back every cent you stole, plus interest, plus legal fees. Elena, wait. His voice changed, became pleading. We can work this out. Family doesn't sue family. You're right, Elena said. Family doesn't steal from family. But you did. So you're not acting like family, you're acting like a criminal. And I'm treating you like one. She stood up, walked to her door, opened it. You need to leave now. My attorney will be in touch with the formal paperwork. You'll probably want to hire a criminal defense lawyer. I hear they're expensive. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the documents on her coffee table like they might disappear if he looked away. The ornament, he said finally. You're doing this because of a broken ornament? No, Elena said. I'm doing this because you stole from our dying grandmother. Because you've been stealing from me for 3 years. Because you valued nothing but money and thought you were clever enough to get away with it. She picked up the tiny brass key, held it up. The ornament was just glass. Worthless, remember? You said so yourself. But it held this key. And this key held the truth. And the truth is going to cost you everything. Grandma knew you'd break it eventually. She knew you were careless with precious things. So she hid the evidence inside something you'd never value. And you destroyed it without even knowing what it held. Elena smiled, cold and satisfied. Thank you, Marcus, for being exactly who Grandma knew you were. For breaking the ornament. For being so careless that you handed me the one thing I needed to prove everything. Marcus left without another word, and Elena closed the door behind him. She stood in her quiet apartment, holding the tiny brass key, and felt her grandmother's presence like a warm hand on her shoulder. The angel had watched over their family, just like grandmother promised. And now justice would too. The legal proceedings took 8 months. Marcus hired an expensive defense team, tried to claim the trust documents were unclear, that his transfers were legitimate estate management, that the forensic report was biased. None of it worked. The evidence was too solid, the paper trail too clear, the forgeries too obvious when examined by experts. In June, Marcus pled guilty to embezzlement in exchange for a reduced sentence, 2 years in prison, 5 years probation. He was disbarred immediately. The civil suit settled for full restitution, $237,000 plus interest, plus Elena's legal fees, plus punitive damages. In total, Marcus paid back over $300,000. He lost his law career. His wife Jennifer filed for divorce. His kids barely spoke to him. He lost everything. And it had all started with a broken ornament. That Christmas, Elena hung ornaments on her own tree in her own apartment. She'd kept the pieces of the broken angel, had saved them in a small glass box that sat on her mantel. The gold-painted wings still caught the light, even shattered. Beside the box, she'd framed her grandmother's letter, the one that had been in the safe deposit box. The one that had started with, "If you're reading this, then the angel has been broken, and the key revealed." Elena had used some of the settlement money to buy new ornaments, but she'd also kept many of grandmother's other decorations. The ones Marcus had claimed for himself, but had been forced to return as part of the civil judgment. Her tree glittered with memories and history and family tradition, everything Marcus had dismissed as worthless. Her phone buzzed. A text from her uncle saw the news about Marcus's sentencing. "Your grandmother would be proud of you." Elena smiled, looking at the framed letter, at the broken angel pieces, at the tiny brass key she'd had mounted on a chain and wore as a necklace now. Grandmother had been proud of her, had trusted her, had left her the tools to fight when grandmother herself couldn't. The angel ornament had held more than memories. It had held justice. And Marcus, in his carelessness and greed, had shattered the one thing that would shatter his carefully constructed lies. Elena raised a glass of wine to the broken angel in its glass box. "Thank you," she said softly, "for watching over us, for holding the key, for waiting all those years until the right moment." The gold wings glinted in the Christmas lights, still beautiful even in pieces. Some things, Elena had learned, held their value even when broken. Truth, justice, family, and a grandmother's love that planned 3 years ahead, hiding evidence in an ornament she knew would someday fall. The angel had watched over their family for 3 generations, and in breaking, she'd saved them all.